Hello, thanks for being in a new video. This time we have unboxing of the Xiaomi Redmi Note 14 Pro Plus 5G. We must begin. Xiaomi continues with this strategy of putting exaggeratedly long names. In fact, within the Redmi Note 14 series, you will find many models, so it is very important that you see the full name so you are sure you are. Looking for the model, you were thinking, this is the highest model of the entire Redmi Note 14 series, so let's know what it can as. We are going to find and what we are going to get to offer. This series of devices was presented since December 9th in China, but it took a little longer for its global launch, so probably you had already seen an unboxing of this device in other channels for a long time, but this would finally be the global version that Xiaomi has aimed at the rest of. The world in Latin America was presented yesterday, so let's meet him, although we still do not know the price it will have in Mexico, however, for the video. A review. I will give you all the price information because it is based on the price that we are going to be able to evaluate it. Without the price, it will just look like a very attractive device. But the price could ruin everything, or it could make it even more attractive. It will be up to you, Xiaomi, you hear me? Well, let's take out the contents of the box and see what it brings. Because from the start, it looks like a box with good content. Let's see, we remove this small envelope and what we are going to find. Over here, the tool to remove the tray, we also have the usual paper with additional information, a case that apparently will not be completely transparent but has a solid padding. The good news is that it will not turn yellow. Over time, the bad news is that if you buy a device of a specific color, then this case will hinder it completely even. So it is a fully flexible case with semi-rigid edges to defend the device. Before any drop, then in a moment we put the case on so you can see how it looks and what you would prefer. We are going to take the device out of the box. And here we already anticipate some of the specifications that I will tell you about in a moment, but definitely at the technical specifications level, it is very attractive. We are going to then take this device out and we are going to remove this sticker. Now we are going to put the cell phone on, and while it turns on, we see what else is available here in the box already. That as you realize, there is a small cover, and underneath this cover we will find a little bit more stuff, but this doesn't want to come out. Finally, look at just a 120 watt charger, and we're also going to notice that there comes the cable, which is from USB-A to USB-C. In this case, the cable also has this highlighted in orange. Like many cables that are fast charging compatible, so we can distinguish them from simpler cables. So, the charger, the truth is that it's heavy. It's not going to be that comfortable to carry it in your pocket or something like that. But it's going to charge very fast, at least that in theory. But in the review, we'll do the specific test. So, we've already seen everything that's included in the box. Next, join me in getting to know the specifications that this device has. Well, first, let me know in the comments what you think of the design. Note that there is a part that is much more reflective and another part that seems to have a matte finish with some texture to the eye, but completely smooth to the touch. I think it looks good in terms of design. It could even appear to be a high-end device. Would you use it as is, without a case, or would you put this case for added protection? And well, I already have this device in my hand so we can know its specifications. So let's start point by point. It has a thickness of 8.75 millimeters and weighs 210.14 grams in this color edition. I say that because this one is called Ice Blue. Also, the Midnight Black color has the same specs, but the Lavender Violet color is lighter, though a bit thicker due to having a synthetic leather back cover. The design looks very nice to me. As I tell you, it gives the look of a high-end device because in the high-end, they are generally putting a central module to place I think that the cameras, and this takes up that line of design that, as I say, is being very popularized in the flagships. It also has a curved screen protected with Gorilla Glass Victus DOS and has the IP68 level of resistance, so it is water resistant. In falls, I think it will defend itself well, although it has plastic frames, so I would not recommend dropping it. The screen has everything you could ask for. Its diagonal is 6.67 inches as Xiaomi rules. The resolution is a 5K. It is a higher resolution than Full HD, to be exact, 272x1220. The refresh rate of the screen is the 120 Hz, so it does perfectly with smooth, soft and fluid movements. It has a peak brightness of 3000 nits, a color depth of 12 bits. That is, it can project an exaggerated amount of colors that I think through the wallpaper also want to take advantage of this. The gradients are going to look amazing. Evidently, the screen supports HDR content, and to manage brightness, it has a dimming rate of 1920 Hz. So at the lowest brightness, you will have a comfortable feeling when viewing content. As for the sound, we will find a speaker on the bottom and another speaker on the top with two audio outputs through the frame and through the earpiece area for calls. It is a speaker that does give you stereo experience, although it is not as premium in sound and obviously does not have headphone jack. The front camera is 20 megapixels with f2.2 aperture and fixed focus, and honestly, I have to tell you that this is where it looks like the manufacturer has cut corners. It doesn't look like a 20 megapixel camera. It has less detail than I was expecting, even in this dynamic range photograph, even though you do see a difference between the preview and the final result. You still see a result that is not up to the level of what you would expect from a device that I name. We place it in the premium mid-range, so I think those who are very fond of selfies are not going to enjoy this device so much. On the back, we are going to find three cameras. The main one is 200 megapixels with optical stabilization, f-aperture 1.65, and obviously autofocus. Then we find the 8 megapixel ultra wide angle camera with f-aperture 2.2 and fixed focus, and finally a macro camera. Disappointing is what I can say regarding this third edition. I would have liked it to have a telephoto camera, since in the same range some competitors are already starting to incorporate a telephoto camera. Even Samsung, which is one of the slowest to evolve, uses a 5 megapixel macro camera that could at least give you a little more detail than the main camera. But in this case, the truth is that I was quite disappointed with this addition, but let's see the results. You're looking at the ultra-wide camera, which, as we expected with 8 megapixels, has little level of detail. I even see a bit of chromatic aberration. So the truth is a simple camera that I don't think lives up to what we expected from this device. The main camera, of course, is the one that will shine the most. With the 200 megapixel sensor, we are going to find a good quality of photography. But what I find curious is that Xiaomi has optimized perfectly well this 200 megapixel sensor, as it notes that in zoom lets us get up to 30x, when other devices let us get up to 10. And it's not just about numbers. The truth is that seeing the results, you realize that I think in several cases, it will give you a quality of photography very similar to what other devices with telephoto camera would give you. So there's no unloading the work that Xiaomi has done with this 200 megapixel sensor. For example, here we're looking at a 2x zoom photograph, and if it looks like it's optical zoom, it looks great. Below is a photograph at 4x zoom, and again it looks with a very good level of detail. So at short range zoom, it's very good. Even at medium zoom with 10x, you can already tell it's a digital, but it still maintains a very good quality. And in the 30x zoom, it is not so detailed, but honestly, it is a very similar result to that given by other devices with telephoto camera. That's why I insist that Xiaomi has done an excellent job with the 200 megapixel camera. But if they're going to put the third macro camera, it's clear that they're just doing it for attention and to say that they have a multi-camera system. But the macro camera you're not going to use. Although still at this point, there are those who defend the macro camera, saying that with the main camera, this would be as close as you can get. And with the macro camera, let's say it would be about here. However, the macro camera has a poor light input, very little detail. So I would prefer to zoom in 4x and see it is much more image quality that the main camera can give us by applying a little digital zoom compared to what the macro camera offers us. So I really still don't understand those who defend 2 megapixel macro cameras. Regarding the video recording, note that it can reach up to 30 frames per second. In this case, the ultra-wide camera is not able to record in that quality, something disappointing. And of course, the macro camera, don't even think about it, this macro camera can only record in HD. Do you want to keep defending the macro camera? Also, the front camera only records in full HD, confirming what I was telling you a moment ago, that the front camera actually has limited capabilities and is one of the weakest points. Disappointment. The battery is 5110 milliamperes with a 120 watts charging stand with charger included in the box. This is definitely one of its most interesting sections. It's a battery that, at least in theory, is larger than average, and the charging power is super attractive, although we're going to put it at, I'm going to try it for the review, because a lot of times, batteries that seem to be very big don't perform as well as they should, so don't get carried away with the numbers. And in the video review we will test in the software, we will find HyperOS 1.0.2 still does not have HyperOS DOS, which is quite curious. But the novelty here at the software level is that it has several artificial intelligence functions. Notice that if you press and hold the power button, circle to search opens, so you can simply pick anything on the screen and Google it. It can be especially useful if you use it in conjunction with the camera. For example, you don't even need to take the picture. Just when you're in the camera viewfinder, you press and hold the home button and then check this section, and just like that, you could easily find some objects, products, and the like. In the same way, if you are looking at some web page or anything and want to search more about some image, this is very functional. In fact, it could also help you translate whatever content you are viewing through the screen into any language. For example, in this case, we are going to translate to a foreign language. And as you can see, you could perfectly read the content of any application or any page. It's a useful tool that until recently was exclusive to high-end Galaxy devices, but it's slowly making its way to other cell phones, and this is one of that select group that already has that option. In fact, it also includes Xiaomi's entire suite of artificial intelligence options, which I will soon be telling you about, so you can get to know it in detail. By the way, this device also has an in-display fingerprint reader. In addition, it comes with 8 GB of RAM and 256 GB of storage in its most basic version, although there are also versions of 12 GB of RAM with 512 of storage. But we'll have to wait to know which versions officially arrive in which countries. Lastly, the processor is the Snapdragon 7S Gen 3, a processor that I think delivers. It is not ultra powerful or anything like that, but for the vast majority of users, it will give a good enough performance. If you're a gamer, of course, you'll prefer to go for a bit that's the Redmi's cousin. But let's take a look at the benchmark results. For example, in Geekbench in single core, it got 1,161 points, and in multi-core, 3,201 points. On the other hand, in Antutu, it got up to 733, 985 points. So as I say, for traditional users of applications and simple games, we will have a completely good performance. For gamers, it may fall short. And finally, I would like to show you something curious, and that is that when you configure the device, it forces you to install some applications, which is quite strange, especially if you're a man, because you will have ready an application to keep track of the menstrual cycle, and no, it is not an application of the Xiaomi system, because that would be nice. But it also installs Bix and some games, that is. It has enough bloatware. Let me see if these apps can be uninstalled. Fortunately, yes. Then you would just have the hassle of having to be uninstalling all the apps it forced you to install that you won't need. But well, fortunately it does let you install them, so I guess it's not such a big deal at the moment. That's all for this video. We'll have the full review available soon. If you like this video, you know you can let us know, and we'll see you next time.